As I reflect on my life, I see so clearly now how many opportunities for growth I missed because I believed I knew best. When you're young, there's this overwhelming need to prove yourself, to show the world that you're capable, that you're in control. It's a powerful feeling, but it can be blinding. The truth is, the world doesn't revolve around us. It never has, and it never will. We are just a small part of a much bigger picture, and often, it's the relationships we build that shape our path more than any career achievement or personal victory. I think back to my younger days and how I would charge forward, full of ambition, trying to conquer every task, every challenge without much thought. The idea of slowing down or asking for help just didn't make sense to me. But now, after all these years, I understand that slowing down wasn't a weakness. It was a lesson. It's a lesson I wish I had learned sooner. Patience is a form of wisdom, and the best decisions are made when we take the time to really listen and reflect, not just act impulsively. The relationships I have now, the ones I've nurtured over time, are the ones that have given my life real meaning. Friends, family, and even acquaintances. These are the people who have shaped me. I've learned that the more we connect with others, the more we open ourselves to growth and understanding. And the beauty of these relationships is that they teach us so much, not only about others, but about ourselves. They challenge us, they make us reconsider our thoughts, and sometimes they even change the way we see the world. But when you're younger, you don't always see it that way. It's easy to get lost in your own world, believing that everything you need to succeed is already within you. That was my mistake. I was so wrapped up in myself, my plans, my goals, that I didn't recognize how important it was to take the time to listen to the wisdom of others, especially those who had lived longer and had the benefit of experience. How often did I dismiss the advice of my parents, grandparents, or even older friends, thinking they don't understand? They're stuck in the past, when in fact, they were the ones who truly understood the way life works. At 78, I can say that no matter how much knowledge we accumulate, there's always more to learn, and the best teachers are those who have lived through the lessons themselves. I've heard it said that the older you get, the less you know, because with age comes the humbling realization that life is much more complex than we can ever fully comprehend. And that's okay. It's okay to not have all the answers, to not know exactly what the future holds. What matters is that we continue to learn, to grow, and to share those lessons with others. So, my message to anyone listening is this: don't rush. Life is not a race. It's a journey. And every step along the way, every mistake, every misstep, every success, has something valuable to teach us. Take the time to listen to the stories of those who have walked the path before you. Their experiences are not just memories, they are lessons in disguise. And if you're willing to learn from them, you'll find that life becomes a lot more manageable, a lot more meaningful. Time, after all, is the greatest teacher. It doesn't rush us. It simply shows us the way, one step at a time. Hey there, everyone. My name is Eulalia. I'm 78 years old, and I've learned one thing for sure. Time is a teacher. It doesn't ask for permission, yet it leaves lessons behind that no book could ever give you. Every wrinkle on my face tells a story, and every strand of white hair, well, it's earned its place here. Time has this funny way of making us realize just how fleeting youth is. It seems to pass in the blink of an eye, and as much as we think we know everything, it's only through time that we come to truly understand things. When I was young, I thought the world was this vast playground of endless possibilities. Every choice seemed like the right one at the time. But over time, I learned that not every path was as golden as it first seemed. I'll admit, I rushed to conquer the world, do everything at once, without stopping to listen. Looking back, I can see how those hasty decisions, those moments where I didn't stop to listen to someone older, led to my biggest mistakes. We've all been there, thinking we know it all, that we're invincible, that no one else can understand what we're going through. But here's the truth. Time teaches you that real wisdom isn't in quick answers or absolute certainty, but in learning from every mistake, every stumble. I can tell you from experience. Have you ever ignored someone older, thinking you knew better, only to find out later you were wrong? Time doesn't shout at you. It doesn't force you to learn. It shows you the consequences of your actions bit by bit. I learned that the invisible scars we carry from our stumbles are the marks of a life lived well, even if that life wasn't without pain. And those scars? They're the teachers that never fail to show up. They help me realize how important it is to listen more and talk less. There's an old saying, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. It never made more sense than it does now. You see, wisdom isn't something that can be rushed. It doesn't come with immediate results, and it doesn't come quickly. But it is worth waiting for, and it only comes with time. When you're young, you're hungry for quick answers, instant results. But when you get older, you learn that what matters is not how fast you reach your destination, but the lessons you pick up along the way. So, if I could give one piece of advice to anyone listening today, it would be, don't rush. Slow down. Value the moment. Listen to those who have walked this path before you, because the answers you're searching for might just be hidden in their words. At my age, I can tell you with certainty that life is made of relationships. When we're younger, we think the world revolves around us. We think we have control over everything. But as time goes by, you start to realize, no, it's the people around you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, who truly guide your journey. It took me a long time to understand that. I remember so many times when I shut myself off, thinking I knew better than those who tried to guide me. One of my old friends, Antonio, once told me something I've never forgotten. He said, Eulalia, it's not about how many people you know, but about how many you really listen to. At the time, I didn't get it. I was surrounded by people, but always in a rush to tell my own story, to show my ideas, to make myself heard. I thought my opinion was the most important one, that my truths were the ones that mattered. How many times did I miss out on wisdom, all because I thought I knew more than someone who'd already lived through what I was going through? It's funny how, when we're young, we think we're invincible. We think no one can possibly understand what we're facing. But here's the thing, generations before us have walked that very same path, and the answers we seek are often hidden in their stories. What we need to do is stop talking so much and start listening more. Life, at least in my experience, is all about exchange, sharing experiences, sharing wisdom. The greatest lessons I've learned have not come from books or social media, but from the lives and stories of the people around me. And the only way to really learn those lessons? By silencing your own voice long enough to listen. I remember once, when I was going through a rough patch in my marriage, I felt lost. Instead of reaching out for advice from someone who had already been there, I shut myself off, thinking no one could possibly understand. But then, my neighbor, Donna Irema, who was much older than me, called me over. She'd been through her own struggles in a long marriage, and one day, she shared this wisdom. Eulalia, every relationship is made of sacrifices. Sometimes you give in, sometimes they do, but what matters is that you're both willing to fight together. At the time, I didn't understand her words. I was so caught up in my own feelings, I couldn't see the truth in them. Years later, when I faced similar struggles again, I remembered what she'd said. And that's when I understood. Relationships, my dear listener, are not about finding perfection. They're about learning patience, understanding, and compromise. Youth rushes, it wants quick fixes. But love and wisdom take time to develop. And you know what often stops us from learning from others? Our own egos. We think we don't need anyone else's help, that we're self-sufficient. But if I could give a piece of advice to the younger generations, it would be this. Don't underestimate the power of a good conversation. Listen to your elders. Listen to your friends, even if you don't agree with them. Because what really sticks with you, what stays in your heart, are those little bits of wisdom that at first seem insignificant, but over time, reveal themselves to be the most valuable lessons. As I look back now, I realize that the legacy we leave behind isn't just about the advice we give or the material things we leave behind. It's about how we've lived, how we've loved, and how we've shared ourselves with the world. People often think that as you age, you should let certain things go. Like sex, for instance. They say it's no longer important. But I can tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. The legacy I want to leave is not just one of wisdom, but of showing that life and love doesn't stop just because we grow older. Sex, intimacy, connection, those things don't have an expiration date. As we age, they evolve, sure, but they remain a fundamental part of who we are. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we should never silence those parts of ourselves because of society's expectations. That's the real legacy I want to leave behind. That pleasure, connection, and intimacy are just as important at 50, 60, 70, and beyond as they were when we were young. So don't let the world tell you that certain parts of life are over once you hit a certain age. Live fully. Live passionately, live joyfully, and never stop seeking connection, no matter how old you get. And now, I'd love to hear from you. How do you see your life in 10, 20, 30 years? Have you ever stopped to think about the legacy you're building today? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know where these reflections are reaching you. Remember, your experience matters, and the more we share, the more we grow together. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss the next one. And please, share this video with anyone you think could benefit from hearing this message. There's a video popping up right now. Click on it to continue this journey with me. Let's keep building the best version of ourselves, no matter our age.